Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Roshan. Great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. We are going to be talking about your experiences with Soul Retrieval. And before we dive into this topic, I'd like you to share a little bit about yourself and tell us where you're coming from, as far as healing is concerned and how you found us.
Okay. Okay. So my name is Jennifer. I'm a mom of two. I've been on my healing journey since 2016, where I went into several modalities, in an effort to just heal my past, heal my wounds, heal my conditioning. And it has been a roller coaster of a ride. Different modalities are going to help you with different things. And my best friend Diana, she's actually very good at finding different teachers and stuff. And she found you, and told me about the work that you did. And we've been working each other ever since. I think before COVID, you were working
Yeah, I think so. I think it's around COVID. Yeah,
around, right? So it's about 3-4 years now.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's been an interesting journey because so much has happened during those 4 years. Life
Yes,
has changed so much. Yeah, right.
it was a very heightened time, and that's when I got confronted with a lot of my stuff, I guess, like core wound,
Hmm.
the depths of my darkness. And but it was COVID, the pandemic, so everyone was home, you're faced with yourself, and it was just a time where I took various courses, and they're all leading to the same thing, that I need to heal this core. And I probably didn't really take a look at those things until maybe 2022,
Hmm.
where I just went through a big career change. I was trying to figure out what's my next move in life. I was in a transition state, and you're confronted with yourself. You're confronted with yourself, and I had a lot of dark nights of the soul that year, and it
Yeah,
was not. It was not pretty. It wasn't easy, but it's possible through it and get to the other side.
yeah.
I have more peace, but
Mhm.
there's still some things that I am working through at this time. It feels like more so the protection that I've put on in an
Hmm.
effort to deal with the pain of the past. And what I'm realizing is that those patterns are limiting. They no longer serve me and the expanded self that I've come into. And so I'm just doing a unwounding of those things. And it's just been an interesting facing the journey, because I just feel like I'm hearing myself and how I've operated. And I'm just like, whoa. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So, and then also moving more into my heart, which has been it's been interesting. It's nice. It can be shocking to just feel everything though. If
Absolutely.
you're not
Absolutely.
right. So I guess in a way I'm in a transition within myself, within my inner being right now.
Yeah.
And some days I'm like I'm Wonder Woman, and some days I'm not. And I'm learning that that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. We can't be strong all the time. There's always, periods of rest and recovery. Yeah. And those are the times when you are vulnerable, right? But trusting that, yeah, you'll get through it. The universe is behind you, it's backing you, and you just trust the universe and go with it.
And that's where I'm at right now, because my inner child has lost a lot of trust with life and the
Hmm.
universe.
Yeah.
So I've realized how much I don't believe or have faith. And it's now that I recognize that, I want to increase those things. I want to believe in more about life, and hope and dream again. And
Yeah.
I see those wounds are with my inner child. And so yeah, I think that's where my focus is working with my inner child. And yeah, feeling safe to be vulnerable again.
Mm.
That's exactly what I'm working on right now. Like it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
breaking down into the softness and the heart.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where soul retrieval comes in. Now, before I go into the soul retrieval, I want to explain to the viewers about what soul retrieval is. And it's, to put it very simply, and you've had so much experience with soul retrieval because you've done so many of those sessions, right? It's about
Yes.
healing those childhood wounds, traumas that occurred at a very young age. And because of those traumas, you've lost power, you've lost fragments of yourself, of your soul to others.
Yeah.
And we want to bring those back. And as we bring back those fragments, we bring back your power. And I think you felt that. Yeah. And we'll go into that, in a bit. And so it's so important because you bring back pieces of yourself that you've lost, that you didn't know you lost, power that you've given away unconsciously, unknowingly. People have taken power away from you, and so we are bringing that back, and it's so powerful. Yeah. And so what I want to ask you is, how did you feel before you started the soul retrieval journey, and how do you feel today? Like, what drew you to it with us? Yeah.
Well, the first word that comes to mind is expanded.
Hmm.
I feel like I move into an expansion of myself. You think about it, we have these fragments that are returning to
Yeah.
ourselves. So it's like I feel like I move more into my big self, I guess more in alignment with my higher self, because I'm retrieving these essential parts of, I mean, it's my soul.
Yeah.
This is me. And now doing this work to bring back these pieces, I'm like, I feel you feel different because you have a certain view of yourself. But when
Yeah.
these pieces back, it can illuminate, elevate your perceptions of life and yourself.
Yeah. There are a lot of practitioners out there that do soul retrievals. They do it their own way. They have their own methods. They have their own techniques. Have you experienced that with others? Have you done soul retrieval sessions with others?
No, I think you're the only instructor that I've worked on with soul retrievals. I mean, I like the process. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't know how it is with other instructors, but the process that you have of, looking at the various relationships in our lives, the pieces we've lost in certain experiences with people, the ages it happened. I like that. And I think what I what I also like is, when you call out the age and the person that's connected to this experience, I like calling up those memories. And it's things that you thought you forgot until you're like, something happened at 21 with your ex-boyfriend. I'm like, I remember that and how it affected me. And so I was a constant repressor of my emotions before I got into my healing journey.
Mhm.
So when I do these soul retrievals with you, it's like all these emotions come back and these
Yeah.
memories that you probably suppressed and did not want to think about. But now it's coming back up to the surface for the healing, to release it once and for all from the body. And I think that's the main thing that I enjoy about the soul retrieval.
Yeah. When I've talked about this with some clients, they say that they've dealt with it mentally. Yeah, they've mentally dealt with it, and they don't want to go back into it because they're afraid. Well, not afraid, but they just don't want to bring up those unpleasant memories again. How do you feel about, you say that you enjoy that, bringing back up the past to release, but how do you feel about reliving that, at a deeper level? And then, do you feel that it's important to release and let go, and even though it's painful, how do you emotionally embrace it?
I like the outcome of the of the soul retrieval. The integration part sometimes can make me feel a little upside down. For me, it's not necessarily the memories, it's the emotions that are connected to those memories. Those emotional energetic blockages that have been held in the body, and now it's time to feel them, to release it. Some soul retrieval sessions will be a bit more, they're all impactful, but some will be a little bit more significant in terms of the integration process. And it hurts. It can hurt sometimes. You can be angry. It can be sad, no matter what it brought up. But it is totally necessary to
Yeah.
go through, because I always say this to my friends, the only way out is through. You have to go through it. You
Yeah.
have to feel it, because these are things that have been stored in your body, and they no longer serve you. So in an effort to let go, you have to allow yourself to feel it. And what I'm learning in those places is to give myself grace,
Mhm.
mercy, highly compassionate, and to be gentle with myself. And that has been for the next thing. I'm ready to, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're breaking up, but it's okay. Yeah.
And I'm just ready to get to the end, and
Mhm.
I have to learn to be with the process more. So
Yeah.
it's been a process of me peeling back and slowing down and being patient and being gentle, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it.
Yeah, it's unpleasant, but I think, and as you said, it's necessary for people to heal, to come out of it. And yeah, it's encouraging to listen to you saying this, and for a lot of people, because they're not sure. So when people come on the spiritual path, they feel that it's all, flowers and peace and love and kindness and everything, but that doesn't happen instantly, right? It's a process, and
No. No,
And we have to go through that process to come out the other end, peaceful, loving, kind, and joyful. Yeah, and you're seeing that happen in your life, right? It's manifesting as you go
I
through.
do. Yes, I do feel a difference within myself, in my mental. Like I said, there's still things that I'm working through, but for the most part, where I've come from, I've come a long way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I remember 4 years ago when you did your first session. It was a very different Jennifer. Yeah. And today you're here, you're more confident, you're a lot more calmer, you're more at peace with everything in your life than you ever were. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Was there any, in all of the different in all of the different soul retrieval sessions that you did, was there any particular one that stood out to you, moments or memories that came up that stood out that, brought on like I would call it like a powerful awakening, like, or a powerful session where you realize this is so, so powerful today?
I can't remember a particular session, but what I will say, because we had a recent session,
Hmm.
and what this was Soul Retrieval that did, and I'm sure this has happened in the past. I was already in the midst of something,
Hmm.
and usually with Roshan, I will scrap what we had planned and let's just do a let's talk. Let's just talk about what's going on in my solar
Yeah.
plexus because I just feel icky. And I said, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to go with the plan. And it was
Yeah.
interesting to me that a lot of the what came up in the soul retrieval had to do with what was going on. I think it was a lot of anger, frustration, and sadness that came up in that session, which is, my big three. And but it was like I was in a soup within myself.
Mm.
And as we were going through the return of soul fragment, I was telling you that there was a pain in my lower back.
Yeah.
And once you said what that pain was, I just felt this relief, like this release, like I was holding something heavy on my shoulders and I released it. And I'll go ahead and say it here. It was a fear of judgment, which
Mm.
is a deep core wound of my inner child. It feels very deep for the fear and the shakiness that exists in space.
Mhm.
And it's connected to a lot of other limiting patterns. It just feels like a big opening that is happening,
Mhm.
and I am finding deeper vulnerability with myself because I've come into my vulnerability and I've taken baby steps to feel safe within it. But now I'm in this place where I'm just like, I'm calling vulnerability. I want to be vulnerable, and that's all I've been doing this week, which is new for me. And when I'm feeling the deep waves of the pain and everything, I'm calling for compassion because it was a very painful wound. But I loved how the soul retrieve connected to what I was going through in the present day to
Yeah.
allow what was going on to be released.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm in this part of the process where I'm able to work more deeper on this fear. And Soul Retrieval was able to.
Yeah, and it's interesting, well, it's a soul retrieval. The soul is in charge. And so, whenever you've booked a session, it's like your soul is preparing you for it. And so it's reminding you of, things that are to be released. And so it brings it up that day, or maybe the day before, or maybe during that week, building up to that session. And during that session, then a lot of release happens, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I remember getting off the phone. I boo-hooed like a baby. Like
Yeah.
the depths of pain that like my inner child has been holding. And it was like this release of baggage, of pressure that I put on myself. And it's just leading me into other limiting patterns. That is just time to let go. So it is a process that I'm in right now. But the soul retrieval was able to help with that by picking at these things and bringing surface.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I want to add over here is that, I think, well, this is my process, right? I go into details, and attention to detail is one of the things that I really focus on in the past life healings and, all of the different sessions, especially in the soul retreat. I know of people who do soul retrievals differently. So it's just also an American Indian tradition where shamans would journey in and they would bring back those fragments and things like that. But I think that, and I've heard of other clients who've done soul retrieval sessions in other ways, and they've felt some kind of relief. But I'm not sure if it is as deep as how you feel it, because then they come here and then they say that, oh, this is really different because you're actually going into that one memory at that point in time, at that age where I lost this many fragments to this person for this emotion or because of this emotion. So how does that attention to detail, how does it figure into your healing process?
It feels like it goes to the core of that experience, that memory,
Hmm.
and gets to the negative emotion that were birthed from that memory. It feels like, yeah, it feels like it's going to the core of it.
Hmm.
And you're doing call in the pieces, you'll tell me the age. I'm like, oh, this memory. And you're like, I'm gonna go in and heal it. And I hear you on the other side. I can feel something going on within me.
Yeah.
And there are times where I'm just like, oh, Roshan, I feel a little something still in that spot. And you're like, okay, you see it. I don't know how, but you do. and
Yeah.
and I literally feel the release in the session. Like it's
Yeah.
happening. And
Yeah.
there's no denying the happening that's happening.
Yeah. A lot of people wouldn't believe me if I told them that it's effective. But coming from you, I think it makes it more believable because you're actually experiencing this, and you've experienced this so many times with every session, right?
Yeah,
And I think as we bring back those fragments, your life is changing. Yeah, you're transforming.
it is. It is. And although the last session brought up a lot of pain, I do feel like once I work through it and I integrate that, I'm gonna be really happy with meeting more of my essential self. I feel myself become, and the initial days felt rough. But I am moving into a more gracious, compassionate space with myself. And I'm breaking down the hardness and moving into my softness. And that feels really freeing.
It is. It is. And that's the purpose, right? Liberation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liberation from
It's
all the things that are weighing you down. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And when I came to you, I had a lot of baggage. So to be at this point in speaking of feeling lighter, it feels really
Mhm.
good to say. And I know as I continue to go on in the journey, I do more soul retrievals and other modalities that I'm gonna meet my true self. I am meeting my true self every day. Every
Every day.
day I'm
Yeah. Yeah. You're evolving. You're evolving. The best version of yourself. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we've already talked about this as to how it's transformed your life. But, any advice that you'd like to give to somebody who is considering doing a soul retrieval, or who has never done one before and, thinking about it?
Wow.
Because,
Someone who's never done it before. Well,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's natural to feel anxious or have some fear about moving into a new healing space, a modality you don't know what to expect. I've had those same thoughts in
Mhm.
meeting with Roshan. I didn't know who Roshan was, but you have to allow yourself to be open and to keep your why at the forefront. I
Yeah.
mean, the biggest why is you coming to heal yourself. You're coming to confront things, and you have an awesome spiritual teacher in Roshan. You do.
Thank
Like they're
you.
very yeah, they're very compassionate, very understanding, and you will help to go through the process. You're not alone in it.
Yeah.
And it is scary at first, but what I can say is to go for it gently and to be open to what will come. I can't tell you specifically what will happen because that's your journey and my journey is my journey. But I think being open to the process will help tremendous to confront old wounds and the pain.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that. I really hope people who are watching this will consider working on themselves, because that's the purpose of life, right? We're here to heal ourselves, work on ourselves, become better versions of ourselves. Everything that we are doing at Be A Roshan is about, bringing clients to their full awareness and raising consciousness. That's also how I teach Reiki. I teach whatever I teach. All the different programs are geared towards bringing people to embrace their divine self, right? Because that's their most powerful self aspect of themselves, right? And we are divine beings in this limited, human, vulnerable body. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only when people recognize how divine they are, that brings them true joy. And I've seen this happen with my students. Yeah, over here. We meet every month, and every month they come for a Reiki share. and they're experiencing new things that they're learning and they're doing, and I'm always open to allowing them to explore new things about themselves, new abilities and things, new things that they can bring into the healing space. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think, the process is, yes, it's painful. And I always say this to all of my students, it's short term pain for long term gain. Yeah, that's always been the motto. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, whoever's watching this, we encourage you to work on yourselves, because it helps everyone come together and come into unity. We're all hurting, we're all going through something, right? But there's ways to make this better, to make this experience better,
Yeah.
right? And we have some of those abilities here at Be A Roshan to do that. um, all of the things that I have created here, I've created myself. Reiki was something that I learned, but it opened up this whole world of healing with the different modalities that I have here. But yeah, we encourage you to come on this healing journey. Life can be so much better. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jennifer is witness to that. So with that, I wonder if you'd like to say any last words, Jennifer, before we close.
Well, I like what you said about short-term pain for long-term gain. That's exactly what it is. It said perfectly.
Yeah.
Because it is short term. And then I get on the other side and I'm just like feeling like sunshine on the inside. Like I feel like new within or renewed,
Yeah.
So that was just perfectly said. And lastly, if there's any fear to going in looking at your stuff, just look at this acronym. Fear is false evidence appearing real. We make it real in our minds, but it's just our minds creating
Yeah.
illusions and stories that haven't come to pass. So if you can stay with that acronym, to allow yourself to push past the fear and do it anyway, you will thank yourself a whole lot later.
Yeah, I think the challenge is, getting over that fear. It's like, a person who doesn't know how to swim, right? They're afraid of drowning before they
Yes.
even step into the water, right? So yeah, it's overcoming those fears and things. But yeah, I think at this point, especially after COVID, I think people are focusing more on their mental, emotional health, because of all the things that came up with COVID. And so
Yeah.
I'm seeing here with, all of the clients coming in, they're like, usually telling me, and the first thing I ask them is how I can help them. And the first thing that comes up is, over the last 3 years, I've been feeling this way. And that's around the time when COVID happened, right?
Yes.
So it connects with how COVID has affected them mentally, emotionally, and has brought them to a point where I need to do something different. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more people are open to healing today. It's not about health, it's about healing themselves, right? Yes,
Yeah.
we can go to the doctor, we can get medication, we can go to a psychiatrist and talk about our issues and take medication. But we're doing it differently here. We're doing it, deep, deep healing work, to heal those wounds, those traumas. Because I think to do that, you need to go dive deep within and really talk about it and
Right.
make those choices. And I think
Yeah.
energy work is such an interesting modality for me because, before I got into this, I was a photographer, but before that, I graduated IT. And before I got into IT, I wanted to be a doctor
Right.
because
Yeah.
biology was my favorite subject. I loved working with the human body so much. I even wanted to become a physiotherapist, but that didn't happen because of where I lived. I was in the Middle East for most all of my life. But coming into this, it's like the universe has brought me here, and I'm able to do so much with energy. And I didn't realize at that point how powerful these modalities are, healing
Yeah.
energy modalities are, how powerful they are in their release, and how people can, leap forward in the healing
Yes.
process, right? It's leaps. Yeah. It's not just,
Yeah. Well,
there.
yes.
Tell me. Yeah.
I was gonna say energy is all around us, we're made of energy. And these emotions that have come from these painful experiences is just energy, not in motion. And emotion is energy in motion. But when we
Yeah.
don't allow ourselves to go through these emotions, it becomes stuck energy. And that's what your work is doing. It's going right to this energy. and saying, this is what was caused from this memory, and we're going to let it go into love, joy, and and welcome something new.
Yeah.
Well, ourselves, we're welcoming back ourselves, because it's the soul fragments that are coming back to our soul. You're just coming home to yourself. And
Yeah.
that sounds really beautiful.
It is. It is. It's such a beautiful journey. It's been a pleasure knowing you, working with you. Thank you for thank you for doing this, Jennifer. Thank you for talking about your experience, sharing your experience with us and the world, because this is the hope that the world will see it and heal themselves. And in healing themselves, we create better spaces, better communities, better societies. Yeah. And
Yes.
so I look forward to seeing you again on this talk show. Yeah, and talking about maybe a different modality at some point. Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, thank you, Jennifer. Have a wonderful evening. Yeah,
Thank
and
you, Roshan, for having
yeah,
me. I'm so appreciative to have shared my experiences, and I will definitely be back. And I hope everyone listening will, really look into themselves about taking this type of work. So the Soul Retrieval or any other of the services that you offer. Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer. You have a wonderful day.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.